It's really hard for me to see new girls come in who are testing for the magazine. She's not that great, and she's got fake boobs, and you do not have a chance, and it obviously does not mean that much to you.
Hi, everyone. You're back for episode 2 of More Girls Next Door. The Girls Next Door episode we'll be recapping and reviewing today is called New Girls in Town, and it aired on August 7th, 2005, along with episode 1 as part of the series premiere. But before we meet the new girls, and from the Y2K archives, our 2005 historical reference for today is Laguna Beach. As I was prepping to launch the More Girls Next Door podcast, I kept having this distinct memory parallel of the Girls Next Door and the show Laguna Beach. So I had to do a little research, and sure enough, the shows ran concurrently for 2 years. The Girls Next Door on Sunday nights and Laguna Beach on Monday nights. So if anyone else remembers one when they think of the other, you're totally justified. Okay, now, if you're ready for more Girls Next Door, I'm gonna have to ask you to kick off your candies, hang up your trucker hat, and silence your sidekicks. Let's get into New Girls in Town.
Welcome to the Playboy Mansion.
The episode begins with a barrage of media camera flashes and press, reporters, news outlets, all assembled on the Playboy Mansion lawn. They're clamoring for the attention of the lovely Tiffany Fallon. You may already know or have guessed that this episode will introduce us to Playboy's annual Playmate of the Year luncheon, where one lucky girl is honored as the best of the bunch, or the best out of the 12 models who graced the fold-out pages of the magazine the year before. The luncheon is essentially a ceremony held on the mansion grounds, which announces the Playmate of the Year to the public, awards the winner with cash and prizes, and kicks off her Playboy career. In the opening scene, a voluptuous brunette with striking ocean eyes poses in front of a blue Chevrolet Corvette, one of her PMOY prizes. Tiffany Fallon, wearing a lilac satin fitted dress with a deep V neckline, is donning a delicate white flower in her dark tresses and an ear-to-ear grin as she soaks up the moment and calmly navigates the chaos surrounding her. Inside the mansion, though, the tone shifts. Holly narrates the prestige of the event with a kind of restrained longing. Bridget has to pep talk herself out of getting too nervous and overwhelmed around the heavy press. And Kendra? Kendra sums up her thoughts on the whole institution with,
when I see a Playmate, I think they're beautiful, and I think it gives nakedness a good name.
It gives nakedness a good name. Never change, Kendra. Never change. Hef pops his head into Kendra's bathroom to determine her timing. If I were seeing this episode for the first time, I'd think nothing of a boyfriend checking in on the ETA of his girlfriend. But I've worked my way up and down the complete Girls Next Door series over decades, so I have a more complex point of view now, and I'll explain. It's been reported and well documented that Hef was stringent about routine. He lived by a schedule, and the girlfriends were expected to move as a unit. Although Hef does not raise his voice or say anything more than a subtle, "We're ready to go when you are," I hear the real message, which is, you are the delay. And I bet good money Holly, Bridget, and the Hefner entourage were running out of patience waiting on Kendra.
A Playmate needs to have it all. You should have a great personality, but you need to have a rockin' body and an awesome face. I'm not losing hope. I feel like I'm getting better with age.
At the PMOY luncheon, the jealousy is quiet but undeniable. Holly comments on how prestigious the Playmate of the Year title is, and you can feel that she wants it. She's actually sulking over Hef not putting her in the magazine. Bridget admits she's jealous too, and I find their mirrored attitudes a little short-sighted. After all, they're already starring on a hit cable reality TV show. Now, I get it, this is early. They don't yet know the cultural tsunami that the girls next door will become. But watching with hindsight, I can't control my eye rolls at the "I wish I could be a Playmate too" comments. And it makes me wonder where Holly, Bridget, and Kendra would be now had they not ended up in multiple issues of the magazine. No doubt they'd still become famous by way of the show. Would their celebrity rank be higher or lower? I don't know. Fame math is weird. But in this moment, they make it seem like a nude centerfold is literally the only path to relevancy or status. And that's where the emotional stakes of this episode really start to take shape. With that said, I've always loved watching the Girls Next Door episodes that center some airtime around the Playmate of the Year events. It truly looks like a beautiful ceremony. And I do appreciate that Bridget doesn't end her narrative here vying for pity, but she says she's not giving up hope in reference to becoming a Playmate, and she thinks she's getting better with age. Next, we transition from the PMOY luncheon to a more typical day at the mansion. And Holly tells us that there will be some new girls arriving to test for the magazine. So the process to Playmate included a whole preemptive photo shoot with professional lighting and professional hair and makeup. And those photos would be reviewed to determine if the candidate was Playmate material or not. And I think it's important to note that many beautiful women, including Bridget Marquardt, have tested to become a Playmate and been rejected. The first new girl we see arriving by black town car to awaiting Holly is the exotic-looking Raquel from Florida. With dark auburn hair and pouty, naturally lined lips, she's giving us Jessica Alba. And although I always thought it, I must admit that Holly also made this connection on her podcast, Girls Next Level. Holly is Hollying in light pink velour sweatpants and a yellow baby tee with a pink bunny head on the front. And after helping Raquel with her bags, she greets the next candidate to test for Playmate, Sara from Oregon. I loved Sara. She's a teensy blonde with an unusual attraction. Her face isn't particularly soft, but she has such a youthful look about her. Sara would have a whirlwind of a Playboy experience as her popularity kind of exploded and grew very rapidly. Do an Instagram search for Sara Jean Underwood. Sara's profile shows you where she is and what she's all about now. Still modeling, her life and work are set against the backdrop of a beautiful Pacific Northwest rainforest where she lives with her partner while they build cabins. And their goal is to open up cabin land, like a Great Wolf's Lodge for extreme nature and art lovers. So she really is an interesting bunny. Back to the episode, Holly explains what a centerfold is, and I won't go there, but I thought it was fun to learn that Hef used to meet all the girls that tested in person. Apparently, that was a strict step of the process. He wanted to assess their personality and how they interacted. So it's kind of nice to know that Playboy considered the whole package. But it makes sense because becoming a Playmate opened a lot of doors for the women, and particularly within the Playboy empire. So when Hugh Hefner, who always had final say, chose a centerfold, he wanted a well-rounded representative for the Playboy brand. Holly addresses what she says most people assume about her, and that would be that she only moved into the mansion to get a better shot at becoming a Playmate.
To be a Playmate, and that's my goal. The choice is extremely clear to me. I mean, I would much rather be Hef's girlfriend. It's such a personal choice for me because Hef and I are so much in love. It's not even a comparison. How does that even compare? I'm kind of...
Holly refutes the rumor that she's at the mansion with a hidden agenda. She's in love with Hef, and basically, that's where it begins and ends for her. But we'll soon see that with the opportunity to be in the magazine, there doesn't seem to be any hesitation or even any thought to the possible conflict of interest that comes with the shared status of girlfriend and playmate. I only bring that up because Holly mentions several times that there have been girlfriends in Hef's past that ended up leaving once they got in the magazine. And well, let's be real, right? I mean, they all left. When Holly describes Hef's standard of beauty, she mentions that it makes her a little self-conscious. For example, she wishes she had a smaller nose. And since Holly has been open about Hef paying for her nose job, I believe within 6 months of her moving into the mansion, I guess I'm a little taken aback that here Holly is still not happy with her nose. And it really makes me believe the statements that have been made about Hefner being openly critical of his girlfriends and their appearance. I can go even deeper when I imagine the young women and girls even who were watching the show back in 2005, and how seemingly harmless comments about features that appear pretty flawless affected a generation when it comes to plastic surgery and identity.
Just like slightly bend your knees.
I think Kendra saw somebody she really liked in Sara.
And I guess Sara said like she's never picked up a bat before or something like that. She's never hit the ball before.
You have to wait for the perfect time. It's all about timing, you know? You have to wait for it to get directly...
As the girls host the hopefuls, we start to see some personality differences sharpen. Holly and Bridget take Raquel ice skating, something soft and aesthetic. Kendra takes Sara to the batting cages, and I have to pause here because the visual of tiny, nervous Sara standing in a metal cage while baseballs slam against chain link, it's almost painful. It reinforces Kendra's tomboy brand, yeah, but it also subtly isolates her from the other two. Whether intentional by producers or not, you can feel early faction lines being drawn. At the ice skating rink, playmate Audra Lynn Fasano is seen accompanying the girls with the new girl, Raquel. Audra, in case you don't know, lived in the mansion for quite some time during her journey to and during her playmate position. While she's not a huge presence in The Girls Next Door, she is often there and on screen in season 1, but the real tea on Audra has to do with the circumstances under which she left the mansion. But we'll get more into that soon when we review season 1, episode 4. It's juicy. If you want to get notified when new podcast episodes drop, make sure to subscribe. The emotional tale of Bridget is told again, the girl who didn't make Playmate. Bridget admits that she can be hard on the new girls that come in to test for the magazine, critiquing them to herself. We cut to the evening scene, and Hef, with his posse of 9 females, are posing for photographs before they leave the mansion to go out to a club. And if you don't know, Hef had photographers on duty and around him nearly 24 hours a day. And I'm talking aside from the show's videographers. He was obsessed with scrapbooking and preserving his legacy. Hefner believed his life would be studied long after he was gone. And on that point, at least, he wasn't wrong. I have a slight suspicion that Holly was inspired by Carrie Bradshaw's fashion because she's wearing kind of an odd combination of a sparkly miniskirt with a white cotton collared shirt. And I'm not going to lie, it's a look I too tried to steal from Sex and the City. In the club, the hypnotic is flowing, and early 2000s strobe lighting is assaulting everyone equally. Bridget gets to narrate this scene, but she sure wishes she hadn't because she launches into this speech that really isn't befitting or supportive of her fellow and younger aspiring models.
Sometimes when the girls go out, I don't make them have any cocktails or anything like that, but sometimes I'm like, oh, let's do shots and everything. And inside I'm thinking, if you're drinking like that, you're not going to feel like doing your thing tomorrow, and you're not going to look your best. But I just think it's funny when I see a girl that's going to be testing the next day, and she's sitting there downing shots and getting trashed, because I'm thinking, girl, you do not have a chance, and it obviously does not mean that much to you.
In a nutshell, Bridget reveals that she may suggest more alcohol be consumed in an attempt to alter a girl's performance at her upcoming centerfold test photo shoot. Over the years and in interviews, Bridget has been quite vocal about regretting the things she said in this episode. And I think a lot of times the attention that Holly and Bridget put on faults from their girls next door's past actually works against them. If Bridget hadn't spent years putting this scene under a magnifying glass, dissecting it in interviews and podcasts, I never would have flagged it as some kind of villain arc. But now, rewatching it with all that commentary in the back of my mind, it's hard not to see it through that lens. Instead of a throwaway, slightly catty moment, it reads more like subtle sabotage, or at least an attempt at it, toward the new girls. Just FYI, both Raquel and Sara go on to become playmates anyway, and it raises a broader question about hindsight, how revisiting your younger self can sometimes reshape the memory more harshly than it originally landed. The next morning, two bright-eyed and bushy-tailed Playmate hopefuls absolutely crush their test shoots, and Holly, Bridget, and Kendra's individual Playboy narratives are repeated in voiceovers. Holly, after seeing so many centerfolds, simply thinks it would be fun to get to model for Playboy and cool to see how her Playmate shoot would look. Kendra echoes Holly's laissez-faire attitude. If it happens, it happens. And then we have Bridget. I'm intimidated and jealous, and I feel inferior to all the girls that become playmates right in front of me.
The dream to be the centerfold never went away. It's something I realized I'm never going to have, but it didn't go away.
Bridget confirms that Playboy, being in the magazine, is something that she's wanted since a very, very young age. And she reveals that she actually came out and tested to become a Playmate at the mansion before she even lived there. And she waits and waits, I think like a year and a half. And then she learns that she did not get it, that she will not become a Playmate. This doesn't stop her, though, because she has lobbied for herself with Hef to be in the magazine. And it sounds like when she's retelling this story, it sounds like there was a point where Hef had to sit her down and say, look, it's not going to happen. You don't have the look. And it's very sad for her. She's very emotional in this interview. We have actual tears. Hefner's rigidness and uncompromising existence is perfectly portrayed during another night out dining with 7 women at an upscale restaurant, Geisha House. This is the first time we learn that Hef doesn't frequent restaurants to enjoy top-rated chef specials. No. Hef has his mansion pre-prepped meal couriered over to the restaurant with detailed instructions for cooking. Tonight, it's lamb chops handed to the Geisha House chef in a Ziploc bag. When I say this scene had me uber confused, I mean an empty cartoon thought bubble appeared over my head with a loud pop, and I had to massage my temples to reposition my facial features back to normal. What rare breed of OCD narcissist is this? Hef's been described as a creature of habit, but this is just beyond habitual. Thankfully, the girls and the additional hangers-on distract Hef when his food is delayed by balancing spoons on their noses. Back at the mansion, Holly, Bridget, and Kendra's nerves get plucked when Hef requests they meet him in the bedroom.
Oh my God, what is it gonna be? Are we in trouble?
Wait a second.
What? I don't know. Am I in trouble? Did I do something wrong?
Uh-oh, am I in trouble? The three seem to simultaneously question this. In Hef's bedroom, he announces to the girls that they will be the subjects in a photo shoot for a potential Playboy cover.
Okay, now, I can't promise it. You're going to shoot a cover, and I'm going to put you in the magazine, okay?
God, finally.
Oh my God. Alas, the girlfriends just might be in Playboy magazine. Funny enough, and this isn't something I knew upon first watch, but according at least to Holly and Bridget, there's a mega distinction between in the magazine and in the magazine as playmates. So the drama saga continues, and I can't help but wonder if Holly and Bridget at this point assumed Hef was finally offering them a real opportunity at their own centerfold month of the year. I want to wrap up this recap with some generalizations about our three main characters. Holly's reactions in the final stretch of this episode are subtle but loud. Her entire identity at this stage of the show is built on being the main girlfriend, the one who understands Hef, and the one who belongs there. Bridget is doing her fun big sister routine, friendly, bubbly, welcoming, but there's also an underlying awareness that the quote-unquote new girls may want the same thing she has. Bridget's power at the mansion is being agreeable, loyal, and unproblematic, so new girls equals new opportunities for someone else to be easy. And that's a threat to Bridget. Kendra is less threatened than amused. She treats the new girls more like, "Ooh, new toys just dropped." She's younger, newer, and not emotionally invested in Hef the same way Holly is, so she has less to lose. Her lack of jealousy actually gives her more power. With that, I want to thank you for tuning in to more Girls Next Door and invite you to join me for future episodes. I'd be so grateful if you drop this podcast a like, a share, a comment. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.
On the bricks.